Having said this, I thought I have been given about 30 minutes time to speak on various aspects as to how students should, write their examinations, how they should make their presentation very effective. What I thought is first I would like to start with a very positive note. The positive note is that yes, you've all joined one of the most popular professional courses in the country. Heartiest congratulations and compliments to each one of you for having chosen to take up this chartered accountancy course, which is extremely popular not only in India but around the world. And I can tell you, friends, that there are plenty of opportunities. The moment you qualify as a chartered accountant, you have plenty of opportunities for you. Not only in India, you can get into practice, you can get into a job, get into industry, or even if you go abroad, there are plenty of opportunities for you in various countries like Australia, in Ireland, then UK, the United Kingdom, then in the Gulf region. So many chartered accountants are working. There's plenty of opportunities for you, and I'm sure each one of you who are committed to their studies, who successfully complete this chartered accountancy course, can be well settled in a good job, or you can even think of having your own practice. You might tell me, Mr. Raghu, now that we are going through challenging times, everyone says getting jobs are very difficult. Today, most of the companies are, laying off staff, and we find that, getting jobs for the new professionals passing out, whether from engineering or CA, would be difficult. I can only say that there's nothing for you to bother. We have gone through many such challenges, our profession, like the financial crisis, then so many other dot-com bubble, so many things happened. But one thing I can assure you, friends, CA profession is completely weatherproof. Irrespective of whatever happens to the nation, whatever happens to the economy, whether it's doing well, whether it's not doing well, finance is like the heart in, like how a heart is there in our body. Similarly, the chartered accountant's role in a company is very critical and important, and the finance function, as I said, is very critical, and the finance function is generally handled by chartered accountants. So what I would like to communicate to all the students who are watching this webinar is that there are plenty of opportunities. Be positive. Just first finish off your examinations and try to see that you become a chartered accountant as early as possible. And once you become a chartered accountant, there's so many opportunities for you to further specialize, whether you want to specialize in forensics, whether you want to specialize in valuation, whether you want to specialize in insolvency and banking, whether you want to specialize in information, systems consulting. The various opportunities opening up, like blockchain is coming, artificial intelligence is coming, then data analytics is coming. So it's possible for you to get into a lot of new areas. And today, the chartered account opportunities for chartered accountants are plenty. This is the positive note which I would like to begin on a Sunday morning to all the students watching the seminar. Before I go to the main topic as to how you could improve your presentation skills, because friends, presentation is very important. In any CA examination for any CA student, if you have made a good presentation, the chances of you getting high marks is extremely strong. So you need to ensure that you present the paper well. You need to have good presentation techniques. And I would like to compliment the chairman of SICASA, Mr. Pampana, for having chosen this topic, which is very important and very critical. You would have put in about 4 to 5 months of studies at home. You would have attended coaching classes conducted by the institute or outside. So you have all the knowledge with you. But what is important, how effectively you present it to the examiner. Friends, as the president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, we have an opportunity to work in the entire examination process, and I can very confidently say that our examination is one of the most robust examination systems in the entire world, you can say. And the examination process is so well thought out, thanks to our forefathers for having given us a very robust examination system. Even to this day, there are many accounting bodies who come to the CA Institute who would like to take our the way we conduct our exams. And the CA Institute of Chartered Accountants of India has supported many other countries in setting up their examination system, whether it is Nepal, whether it is Djibouti. We have helped them to set up the entire examination. So the examination system of our institute is very good. I was a chairman of the examination committee when I was a president. I have worked in the examination committee for more than 3 to 4 years in the past before becoming the chairman. I can only say that, friends, when we interact with the examiners, the kind of feedback what we get is that many of the examiners tell us, So when we just speak to the head examiners. They say, sir, the students have good knowledge, but their presentation skills are very poor. I think very rightly, Mr. Pampana has chosen this topic, because what is important is you might have knowledge, you might have put in a lot of hard work, you have a lot of content that you can write, but writing it effectively is what is important. And this session, I'm sure, will give you some ideas to how you should improve your presentation skills. Before that, friends, I would just like to talk about 5 minutes as to how the challenging times we are going through. Yes, it's COVID times. We are seeing a lot of uncertainties. You see a lot of social distancing happening. People are stuck at home, not able to go to office. So we find a lot of deaths happening across the country, across the world. So you find a atmosphere that is not that great sometimes. So what is very important is that you need to see that you don't get into depression, you don't develop stress, you don't develop any anxiety, because friends, the moment you have stress or anxiety, that will lead to depression. My only request to all the CA students present here watching this webinar, yes, I know that the CA examinations have been postponed twice. Yes, it was beyond the control of the institute. We had no other option but to postpone the examinations. But I am very confident. I think July, when the new dates have been announced, the examinations would be held with all social distancing norms in place. And you should not bother. You should prepare for the examination to see that you're able to perform well. Friends, during COVID times, what is it you need to keep in mind as far as you are concerned? Number one, you need to have a good sleep hygiene. Sleep effectively. What is very important is that students put in a lot of efforts right from morning till night. So you need to have an adequate sleep of at least minimum 7 to 8 hours. 7 to 8 hours good sleep can relax your mind and enable you to study for the exams the next day effectively. Many a times I find that the students don't sleep well. They sleep for 3 hours, 4 hours, as a result of which they develop stress, they develop anxiety. There is absolutely no need for you to worry. I still remember when I joined the Chartered Accountancy course in the year 1987, I always used to make it a point to sleep to 6 to 7 hours, or maybe sometimes 8 hours also. And I used to have a proper sleep schedule. So very important for each one of you, participating in this webinar, is that you please have a proper sleep hygiene. Number two, don't read too much news about corona. Reading the newspaper about news about corona, watching the TV to know how many deaths have happened in Bangalore, which zones have been made containment zones, what is happening in Andhra Pradesh, what is happening in Tamil Nadu, what is happening in UK. No, I think this is the time for you to have very restricted knowledge of what is happening in corona, because most of the things, even for people like us, when we watch the news, we get into sort of very unpleasant feelings you get. So my request to each of the students is that try to avoid watching too much of news on corona, or maybe checking your WhatsApp videos on what's happening on corona, or maybe reading the newspaper about corona. Have knowledge which is limited, which is just required for you to know what is happening. Number three, take good diversion from your studies. Maybe you can play a game of badminton in front of your home, or you can play a board of carom, or you can spend some time with your siblings, with your parents. Try to take a break from your studies, maybe sometime in the evening, whenever you are free. You have 6 to 7 hours of studies you put in. Absolutely essential that you play some indoor games. Try to, if you have a garden, you can plant you can water the plants. If you have a terrace, you can go to the terrace and do walking. If you have some exercise equipments, you can do some exercises. All this will give you a lot of stress relief. Everything can be done within your home. It's possible for you to sit down and break the study schedule and try to get a deviation. You can even do yoga. Today, a lot of gyms are having online courses for carrying out your gym sessions, yoga sessions, and then so Zumba sessions. I think you should get into all this. Maybe spend about 45 minutes to 1 hour, either in the morning or in the evening, whenever you feel like, and try to take a break from the normal schedule. Number four, talk to your friends. Maybe just pick up the phone and say hi. You need not be a chartered CA student. You can pick up your phone, speak to any of your friends who are in college, who are in school. Say hi to them, talk to them. Something generally, just try to get a feel good factor. And once you speak to different people, you feel very happy. You can speak to your relatives, your cousins. this is the right time for you to just get a break, take a walk if possible. If there's a possibility for you to take a walk wearing your mask and it's permitted in your locality to take a walk, you could take a walk and have a positive mindset. It's absolutely essential for you to have a positive mind, because if you always feel whether the exams would happen, whether I will pass, whether I will get a job, don't keep on questioning too much. Be a positive mind. You be confident that yes, I will pass the examination, I will get a good job, and I will be successful. That is a positive thoughts you should have as a budding CA student. So don't have any negative thoughts in your mind. Have a balanced diet. The next thing is having a balanced diet. Eat good food, nutritious food, food that can improve your immunity. You don't get simple, what you can say, things like cough and cold. You have a proper balanced diet. Eat normally, eat well, enjoy your good eating habits, and I'm sure that will help you to prepare effectively, because once you eat well and have a good diet, I think there's nothing for you to bother. And only one thing, friends, is that don't worry too much. You will get a job. As I said, you will be successful, and the CA profession has weathered all storms, irrespective of COVID or no COVID. We are there to, what you can say, we are there to protect the economy. We are there to run the finance function, and I'm sure there's nothing that you need to bother. Keep away from social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, Instagram for some time, 2 months till the exams are over. Keep away from it. I know it's difficult. Disable your account. The best thing for you to do is to disable the account, because if you keep the accounts alive, sometimes you feel like checking. You take a decision. If you're on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, if you're on WhatsApp, try to see, can you disable your Facebook? Can you disable your Instagram? Can you disable your LinkedIn? And maybe restrict yourself to WhatsApp, so that you're in touch with your close friends. So keep away from social media. Finally, friends, what is important is that have a commitment to studies. Very important. Put in a lot of hard work, and only then you can be successful in preparing for the CA examination. This is as far as some of the suggestions I thought I should give to the students during the COVID situation, because we get a lot of calls from students. Many students know me, talk to me, sir, whether the exams would happen, COVID has happened like this. So don't be negative, have a positive mind. Coming to the topic as such, how you exactly go about improving your presentation, I have identified about, more than 14 points. I'll try to cover it in the next maybe 15 minutes as quickly as possible. Number one is that, friends, you get 15 minutes time to read the paper. When myself and Mr. Pampana used to write the CA examinations, we never had an opportunity to read the paper. We had to just get started with writing the examination. Thanks to the CA Institute, the examination committee, 4 years back, we decided that we should give time to all the students to read the paper, so that they can go through the entire paper in great detail and decide and plan how to write the examination. Please ensure that you use good time of this 15. Anyway, 15 minutes is available to you. Go through all the questions in great detail. Identify the questions where you are very confident, where you know the answer. Identify the questions where you're not so confident. Identify the questions where you absolutely have no idea or you've not studied. Maybe 3 segments, the questions where you have good knowledge of that particular subject, you can answer it confidently. The second category where your knowledge is not that good, but nevertheless you can attempt. And the third category where the knowledge is very, very limited. Once you bifurcate into A, B, C, you can plan to start writing the paper effectively, because you should always begin writing the answers to questions where you feel that you know the answer the best. That's very important, because the moment the examiner takes your paper and starts evaluating, the first 3 to 4 pages, he can make an assessment about your knowledge. He can make an assessment about your communication skills, your writing, and he'll come to a reasonable judgment as to whether you are a student who have committed yourself to studies and you are having good knowledge of the subject. So first 4 to 5 pages is very important. Please ensure that you begin with the questions where you know the answers very well, so that you can start taking up those questions one by one and try to complete it as early as possible. Number 2, start answering the paper in the order of your comfort. That is, if you're good in a particular topic, in a particular question that has come, if you're good in that, start with that first. Have a neat handwriting, very important. Many a times when we see the answer papers as in the examination committee, we go through so many answer papers from different parts of the country. Let me tell you, friends, the handwriting is very bad in most of the cases. In fact, the chief examiners come and tell us, sir, the handwriting of the students is very, very bad. So my only request to each one of you is that please ensure that you have a good handwriting, because a good handwriting will enhance the reading, the examiner who's correcting your paper will get a comfort, and if the handwriting is bad, he'll get irritated. I'm sure when someone writes to you, scribbles on a paper and gives it to you, how do you feel? You don't feel like reading it. But if someone writes it neatly and gives it to you, you feel like reading it. So it's similar to that. The person who's correcting the paper, if your entire paper has been answered properly in a neat handwriting, he will feel happy to read it and then give you the marks. Number 4, presentation is very important. Friends, what is, when I talk about presentation, let us say you have you want to write an answer, try to see whether you can split it into paragraphs. Maybe for each paragraph you can have a small title and underline the title, so that the person who's like valuing your paper can just quickly run through the headings. Let us say canons of taxation. When you're writing about the canons of taxation, what exactly, it should be simple like that. The paragraphs should be simple, split into different categories, and then have a headline so that they can correct it very quickly. And use graphics wherever possible. It's possible for you to do a pie chart, or it's possible for you to demonstrate by a visual diagram or a flow chart. I think that will make it very, especially in the subject of auditing, if you can have small flow charts in the midst of the paper, definitely that will enhance the quality of the presentation, and the examiner would get impressed, and he might end up giving more marks to you for that particular question. 5th one, stepwise marking. Stepwise marking has been introduced maybe 7 to 8 years back, and the biggest advantage of stepwise marking is that you get marks for every step. See, those days when we used to write the exam, we were very keen to tally the balance sheet. We wanted to ensure right from the first till the last, everything used to be proper, because stepwise marking was not there. But today, stepwise marking has been introduced. Let us say 50% of your problem is correct, you get 50% of the marks. If 75% of the problem is correct, 75% of the marks you get. So we have given clear instructions to the examiners that stepwise marking should be given. Please ensure that if for some reason you are stuck somewhere in the middle of the paper, or maybe towards the end, nothing for you to bother. You will get marks to the extent you have answered the question correctly. So if you have not answered it correctly, you will not get the marks. So stepwise marking is something which you need to keep in mind, so that you get a comfort. At least for 50% of the question I've answered it well, I get 50% of the marks, is what you need to get a comfort. The 6th one, sometimes one paper will be very tough. Generally, if you have seen the trend in every CA final examination or intermediate examination, in group 1 or group 2, there'll be one paper which will be very, very tough, and people who have really worked hard, studied well, can answer and attempt this paper, which is a tough paper, and manage to get either from 40 to 50 or 40 to 60. Yes, majority of the students will not be able to crack these exams, and they don't do well, and as a result of which you find that, let us say in ISCA, or let us say in direct taxes, or in costing, you find a whole lot of students failing in that particular exam. So what is very important is, friends, be mentally prepared that one paper will be tough. We do not know which paper will be tough. That paper which is tough, you should target to get at least minimum 50. 40 to 50 should be your target. Even if you're able to scrape through 40, it's fine, nothing for you to panic that you have not done well. But 1 or 2 papers, you need to get more than 60. You need to strike it hard and try to score more than 60 marks, so that you are able to pass the examination. Because the biggest challenge for all CA students is that they fail in aggregate. They're able to get 40, 40 into 4 is 160, 160 to 200 is where they get stuck. So what is very important, friends, is at least 2 to 3 papers you should get more than 60, so that you're comfortable. And if you're writing both the groups, all the more merrier, because I have written my CA intermediate, both the groups I cleared in first attempt. I have written my final, both the groups together I've cleared in first attempt. I had the benefit of carry forward from one group to the other group, both in my intermediate and final. So I can very confidently say that I've been a beneficiary of writing both the groups. I had the benefit of marks being carried from one group to other group. And this is always a good idea. If you're able to write both the groups, nothing like it, you will have the benefit of marks carrying forward from one group to the other. Number 7, friends, if for some reason you have knowledge of the various sections of the Income Tax Act, or let us say the GST Act, or let us say the Companies Act, and if you're very confident about the sections, please try to quote them. What I used to do during my examinations, I used to pick up about 100 to 120 sections during my preparation itself, which are the most popular sections where questions can come. I used to write it separately in a paper and practice that whenever every 2 days I used to section 370 of the Companies Act. I used to, remember section 43B of the Income Tax Act. I used to make a sort of a reckoner of all the list of all the sections, and I used to keep on reading it regularly. And wherever possible, whenever I used to get an opportunity, I used to try to write the section number, because I always felt that if I write a section number, the examiner would be impressed. And let me tell you, friends, please follow this. Maybe you need not know all the sections under the Companies Act or the Income Tax Act or GST. Identify the major sections, the important sections, take a piece of paper and write down all the sections, and try to keep on practicing it. By default, as and when you write the examination, you have the section number. When you write a section number, it gives an impression to the examiner that you have read the section, you have read from the bare act, you have the knowledge of the subject more effectively. So if you are able to practice it from now, I think you can do it. 8, start answering all the questions to the extent possible. You try to use a new page. Many a times, you find that you've attempted 3/4 of the problem in one page and you have a small portion left. You try to attempt the question in that same page. Don't do that. Start with a fresh page. These are all very small things, what I'm trying to tell you, but that gives a comfort to the examiner. When he's correcting your paper, the moment you have the next question on the next page, it's easy for you to just turn and then start correcting it properly. So don't try to squeeze in. A lot of paper will be provided to you. There's nothing that you need to bother. And it's essential that you start answering a fresh question from a new page. Number 9, complete theory questions first. Let us say in papers like auditing, if it is possible for you to finish your theory part first, you better finish off, because you have adequate time for your practical. Because generally practical problems takes more time, because sometimes when you start your practical problem, you get stuck so badly. Sometimes you will not have time to complete your theoretical portion. So for all theory subjects, try to finish off writing your theory portion and earmark the time, balance time available for all the problems. Then you will be able to attempt the paper more effectively. Number 10, quote case laws. Like as I said, quote sections. Also try to quote case laws like under Income Tax Act, under the GST Act, under the Companies Act. Like for example, Rani Singh versus Union of India. What you can do is you can list out a list of case laws, popular case laws, and try to see if you are able to quote it. Sometimes what happens when you have listed out 100, maybe you'll have an opportunity to use at least 7 to 8 in a paper, which is quite sufficient. Even if you have quoted some 7 to 8 places, either sections or case laws, that will improve the quality of your paper, and the examiner will feel happier. This guy knows this case law well, this guy knows this section well, and he'll give you marks. And then, as I told you earlier, try to split the answers into as many number of paragraphs as possible so that they can correct it, because generally if you try to stuff all the information in one big paragraph, he'll find it difficult to identify the way you've answered. Try to split it in proper paragraphs so that by scanning through the entire page, he'll know that you have answered the question with 8 paragraphs with 8 subtitles. So it's absolutely essential that you split the answers effectively so that the examiner will feel happy to correct it. Number 2, never use short forms. When you write your examinations, generally we have a practice of EGM, writing EGM, ROC, SB, SEBI. Try to expand it: Securities and Exchange Board of India, the Reserve Bank of India, Comptroller and Auditor General of India, Extraordinary General Meeting. Try to expand it to the extent possible, and don't try to use shortcuts at all. Friends, as I said, try to attempt all the questions in the paper. Sometimes you might realize this 10 marks, you're not very sure, you're not able to answer something, but make a reasonable attempt to recall something and try to relate something and try to write something that will give some sort of assurance to the examiner. Yes, the student doesn't know the answer, but he has made an attempt to write it. Fine, let me give him 1 mark or 2 marks. And friends, language is very important. You need to have good language of the subject. Without good language of the English language, you will not get good marks. Your language should be good. Grammatical errors should not be there. Your nouns, use of adjectives, commas, full stops, all this is very important. Your capital letter, lowercase, all this is very, very important. Try to see that you use a blue pen or a black pen, because now we're going for digital evaluation. All that will become very easy if black pen, blue pen is used. Try to use graphics wherever possible. And I'm sure if you're able to follow all these small things which I've suggested, you will be able to write the paper effectively. And the moment your question paper comes for correction, and let us say yours is the first paper, you have a nice handwriting, you have split the entire answers into questions, you have started the new questions in a new page, and you have put sections, and if you put your case laws, and you have tried to sort of answer all the theory questions, then practical problems. I think there's no need for you to panic at all. Examiner will give you good marks, and I'm sure you'll get good marks and you'll pass in the CA examination your first attempt. These are some of the what I thought, tips which I thought I'd share with you as to how you should present your exams. Friends, I am very confident that all the students who are watching this webinar will be successful. It's a question of time. You might pass in 6 months or 1 year. Don't worry. CA is a tough exam. So even if you take 6 more months, nothing to panic. Even for some reason you don't pass in the first attempt, heavens are not lost. You always get another opportunity. You study well and write the examination. Ultimately, the goal is to become a chartered accountant. I have seen a lot of chartered accountants who have taken 5 to 8 years to pass the examination, but they're extremely successful in their career because of the hard work they put in. So my request to each one of you is that put in a lot of hard work. Number one, be passionate. Don't do this course for the sake of your parents or your friends. Do it for yourself. You should have a passion, like how Mahendra Singh Dhoni had a passion to play cricket. You should have a passion to pass CA examination. So you need to work hard. You need to be passionate. You need to be committed. Commitment is required. Maybe getting up in the morning, putting an alarm, starting your studies at 6:30, studying for 10 to 12 hours. If you have this commitment, you have the passion, if you have the hard work, there is no reason that you cannot become a chartered accountant. So what is important, friends, is that your goal is to become a chartered accountant. So you have to chase your goal. And I'm sure everyone who is watching this webinar will become successful chartered accountants. I'll have an opportunity to meet you sometime, somewhere. And when you happen to be in Bangalore, please feel to reach me. And I'm extremely thankful to the Southern India Regional Council, the chairman of the Southern India Regional Council, Dugar Chanjain from Madurai, who's doing an excellent job in these troubled times. Mr. Pampana, for the good work they're doing for the cause of the students. And I'm sure all the members of the profession, students of the profession, would be immensely benefited, because this is a time, especially for people like us, to upskill ourselves, to reskill ourselves. And people like Pampana, myself, or Mr. Jain have to see how best we can keep in touch with the subject. And learning, it's a continuous learning. So even just because you become a chartered accountant, you have to keep on learning. I've qualified 30 years back. Even to this, I study. In fact, during the lockdown times, I registered for the certification course on forensic audit and fraud detection. I updated my entire knowledge of the GST law. And let me tell you, friends, I enjoy studying even to this day. Whatever enthusiasm I had 30 years back when I studied my CA in 87, the same enthusiasm is there even now. So with this positive note, I would like to congratulate and wish you all good luck. And I'm sure all of you will be successful chartered accountant. Thank you very much, Mr. Pampana, for having invited me and having given me an opportunity to speak at this webinar.